Hey guys, and welcome to another episode, and it's a new year of Cubed, the Marvel Snap podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna try and do better. We're gonna try and make some resolutions, but we can't promise anything. But if I could get a amen to try and make it a resolution to try and do this every week.
Amen.
All right.
Well,
Amen.
I mean,
That's not an amen.
I don't have all the other things anymore. We're good.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. So to let you guys know, Don has officially gotten his bachelor's. Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Yes. Give
Yep.
me some hands. Give me some
Yeah.
hands.
I was like, where's the? Yeah.
I got my BS degree. We all do.
Congratulations.
I had it, but I officially have a BS, a full BS.
Congratulations. So Don's gonna have more time to sit around with us and
Snap.
talk Marvel Snap.
Yeah, baby.
Until we don't, but we'll cross that road later. So, as always, from the past episodes, to everybody's left, we have Mr. Bok Choy, aka Dakota, and then to everybody's right, we have the returning Mr. DarkHelmit, aka Don. And as always, ever so graciously, I am your host, MarcLee. I was like, wow, 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 wow. All right. So today we are gonna, just recap the month that we missed, and we are going to talk about the month that is to come, which starts tomorrow. Even though we haven't released a cast in about a month, we still have been very active on our Instagram. And if you're in the Alliance, we've been very active in the Alliance. I think it was only around Christmas where we weren't able to finish the Alliance rewards. So, but it is what it is. We did miss out on a variant?
No, it was a border.
Oh, it was a border.
It was
That's right. That was a border.
Red snowflake border.
Okay, yeah. So, and we got one for finishing our own. So we didn't need two. But, hopefully everybody that wanted that was able to get it. So before we go ahead and start with the previous season, anything you guys like to add?
No, it's good to be back with you guys. It's good to be back talking about Marvel Snap. I know we get to chat a little bit at work, but it's always fun to get in this environment and just, shoot the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Same. Ditto.
All right.
I miss you guys.
Stop talking about Pokemon there, Dakota. Stop. He's always doing this. He's always like, ditto, ditto. It's like, stop with the Pokemon talk. All right.
Well, this is not TCG.
I know, it's not TCGBP, all right? So, all right. So if we go to the previous season, the season card was Galacta, and the two cards that you got for free in this season were Hela and Doctor Strange. So Galacta is a 4 cost, 6 power, and each turn, the first card you play at another location reveals with +3 power. Let me go ahead and start with you, Don. How do you feel about the release of this card?
I really like this card. I feel like overall it wasn't one of those cards that you felt like you had to play, but it also really did complement certain play styles. So when you wanted to just any of those decks that you want to get a little bit of extra power, especially like the brood type decks, like this fit right in. It was a nice little buffer for that. It's got a nice little amount of power on it. I really liked. It felt very balanced of a season card.
All right. How about yourself, Dakota?
Yeah,
That's
I'm right
not
there.
Dakota.
Where am I?
You're
not
not right there.
Help!
All right, go ahead and talk about it.
Mayday. No, I'm right there with you, Don. I really enjoyed this card. I think that its ability to buff, it just took everything by storm. This was a really well done season card, and pretty much every deck that we've teched in this card, it just thrived. Like it's been a nonstop thrill ride, and I really have to say this is probably, I say this every time there's a really good one, but this is taking the top favorite season pass card right here.
Oh, really? Over what?
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
about all that. That
for me for sure. I've been really enjoying it.
Okay, so
It's
so
been
what was
fun.
your previous favorite?
I think Agent Venom before they nerfed
Oh,
him.
okay. Makes sense. Okay, but I feel like this card has very good sustainability. I mean, like Don mentioned, it wasn't overpowered, so I believe next season it's still going to be a main factor. Now, what do you guys think about the longevity of this card? Do you think they need to buff it, nerf it? How do you guys feel about the longevity of it?
I almost feel like it's in that nice sweet spot where like there's so many other cards that need something done with it that this card really feels like, hey, it can sit the way it is for a very long time. It doesn't feel like you can overly abuse it. Obviously, there are certain decks where you start getting like symbiote, Spider-Man, but even those things have their own counters to
Mm-hmm.
them. Or even like Galactus, right? We didn't really see a crazy amount of Galactus happening with this, even though it did give Galactus a better shot of going off. Um, I feel it, like I said, I feel it's in that nice sweet spot where we're gonna see this card kind of just sitting there doing its thing for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. How about yourself, Dakota? How do you feel about the longevity of this?
I hope that what Don said is correct because I enjoy this card a lot, but we know how Second Dinner likes to just shoot everything behind the barn. So I really hope that this card keeps flowing because it's fun.
Yeah, that's the only thing is I feel like this card is I liken it to when Elsa Bloodstone first came out, and when you filled your one lane and you kept buffing that last card over and over with +3, people, especially with Kitty, right? People were just like, "Oh, yo, this could get nerfed terribly," you know. But I think Elsa came out as a 2, right? If I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
I think
So
so, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, they nerfed her to go to 3, so she kind of clashed with a lot of things. But with that +3, it is actually really good. So I could see them maybe making it a +2 if they really want to, nerf the hell out of it. But I hope the longevity of this card, because it's really, I hope it stays because I think it's really useful, and it gives a different play style, not just to like you mentioned earlier, Galactus decks. It's just any decks that want to utilize its buffing power. So hopefully, second dinner doesn't butcher it.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Yeah. So the next card that came out this season, I have to scroll down, was Luna Snow. I already forgot. Oh yeah, because this season was uh, Marvel Rivals.
Rivals,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, we'll
Hmm.
we'll talk about that later. So, all right. So Luna Snow is a 3-cost 5 power, an on reveal that adds an ice cube to each side of the location she's played on. And the ice cubes are a 1-cost 0 power, and at the start of each turn, you get +1 energy. Then destroy this if your side is full here. Now, this gives, since you're putting an ice cube on each side, it also helps your opponent. Now, let me go ahead and start with you, Dakota. How did you feel about the release of this card?
I think that, like you just said, the fact that your opponent gets it, it kind of swings back and gets you in the wrong way. I don't like how you're helping your opponent. It's the same thing with Maximus. How you like his plus power, you're getting that draw, but at the end of the day, you don't. Oh, sorry, not Maximus. What am I thinking? Who's the chick that they let you draw? What was her name? Crystal? Is that it?
Yes.
Am I thinking Crystal? Yeah,
What,
Crystal. Kind of
both
like
both
Crystal,
people
where
draws a card?
yeah, it there's a downside to it that to me I just don't see the benefit for it. Um, it's good in a clog if you know you're going to ruin your opponent's side, and it's like okay, they're going to get rid of it immediately. Like if you throw this down and that ice cube is gone, cool. You got that benefit. But at the end of the day, I think that there's better chances to ramp with other cards. But it is a pretty decent ramp card, but it's for both of you. So for me, not the biggest fan.
Okay. How about yourself, Don?
I really like the idea of where they were going with this card, right? They're like, hey, how do we get more energy into the game, right? We've always talked about like the ramping of the power, right? Um, adding more energy into the game allows you to do more of that. So it's a really interesting card, but I do think that it falls short a lot of the time because you do give your opponent that same energy. You also, you know, a lot of the time on turn 3, right? You're playing into a lane. You have to make sure you're playing into a lane that you don't have anything in, so
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to play into, or you have to do it in a way that you're not going to be playing in that lane for a while.
Yeah.
So it's it's a fun card. I think that it's an interesting concept. I like what they did with it. I'm just not sure it's fully being appreciated in a deck to build around.
Yeah. So I think the only thing that can make this card better than I guess they anticipated it is if it kind of acted like White Widow, where if the location fills up, it gets destroyed right away. Whereas the way it acts right now is it gets destroyed at the end of the turn, and or I think at the beginning of the turn, and then your opponent still gets that +1 energy, right? So it feels like if they made it like White Widow, where it destroys automatically, then you get the +1 and your opponent loses out on that +1, right? So I think that's the only thing I thought was going to happen was when it gets destroyed, it was like White Widow. So yeah, it falls
I
short
can see
of
that.
it falls short of being actually very useful because there are so much better like ramping cards depending, like the Snap Nation just mentioned it, Electro, right? The and then on top of that, you could like use so many things to get rid of it quickly to be able to get around his downside. So, anything else you guys would like to add?
No,
All
it's
right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a meh card. So the next one that we got in the season was Penny Parker. So Penny Parker was a 2-cost, 3-power card that was an on reveal, and it adds a. Do you call this spider, or do you call it like SPDR?
Spider.
Yeah, spider. Okay, so it adds a spider to your hand, and then when anything merges with this card, you get +1 energy next turn. Now, oops, misclick. Now, the spider that gets added to your hand is a 3-cost, 3-power, and it's also an on reveal. It merges with one of the cards that wherever you played it, and then you can move that card next turn only. So, go ahead and start off with this card. How do you feel about this card, Don?
This is probably the card that I've actually played the least this season. I am really haven't played a lot of move-ish types of decks. Um, I just kind of feel like playing it on curve doesn't always work well, even though you do get an extra energy here and there. I just feel like there's better 3-cost cards that I would want to play. Even for a 3-cost, there's better 3-cost cards that I would fit into a deck if I'm building around it. So I really played a handful of games with this, and I was really unimpressed, and it was very wah-wah to me.
All right. How about yourself, Dakota?
I had a lot of fun with this card. When the weekend mission came out to do, you gotta win matches with her. I kind of made this this makeshift move deck with 2099 Spider Man, shout out. And my gosh, I was just wrecking people with this. I really like this card because it gave me the chance to get him out a little bit earlier after merging it with something like Human Torch. If you were able to get him out a little sooner, even putting this on herself and moving her around was great. If you got the right hand set up, you're Madam Web, you can move things around like crazy. This card has been a really fun addition to movement, and having a little extra energy proved very beneficial. I would definitely say the matches that I used her, I won versus the ones where I didn't get her on time. But what Don said is true on curve. You have to get it out sooner than later. And if you miss her on turn 2, there's really no point in trying.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So this card is very niche. It doesn't really have a set deck that you could use it with, it's actually a very versatile card because I've run it also in a deck that runs is it called Agony, the one that merges with her, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if Agony merges with this, it gets this +1 energy, which is pretty cool. And then you could also, get another +1 energy by using the spider, or you could use the spider on something else, like you said. So, I've never tried it with Spider-Man 2099, but that literally activates his effect. So there's many uses. There's many uses that this card can open possibilities to. So it's very cool that they designed a card that doesn't have to only be used for itself, like being selfish, but it also makes it so that other cards can utilize its effect. So it's unfortunate that, it's only once. So that's, it does hinder it. But you really have to either draw it on turn 1 or turn 2. Which, if you see it later game, it's just like, well, hopefully you had a better 2 cost, as a backup, or you had something, easier to do. Because if this is like your main game plan and you don't draw it turn 1 or 2, it's just like it's downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
So also, Snap Nation mentioned the Lasher synergy, because if you put you play Lasher and then you play Spider on it, you move it, and then you could choose where you get that negative effect on it. So that's another combo that's pretty cool. He also mentioned Wiccan as another ramp option. So it gives you that 2-3 turn. You just have to maybe, I don't know if you really want to do, what's his name, Quicksilver on 1, and then Penny, and then Spider on 3, and then Wiccan. So it is nice to have that solidified ramp option if you have Wiccan, because I know playing some Wiccan decks, you get your 1, you get your 2, and then you're just like, God damn.
That's it.
Yeah, you're just like, well.
I agree to a point, but like even with this thing, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about having to play 2 cards to get 1 energy. You're talking about, you get 1 move, but ultimately you're talking about a 5-6, right? And if you take that 1 energy off, you're talking about a 4-6, and you get to move a card once. Like, yes, there's some stuff, but to build a deck around that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it has great utility. It's just it can't be the center of your deck building. It's just a useful
100%.
tool. So,
Yeah.
And I think that's how all cards should be made, where it's just like it doesn't revolve around them. I mean, I know there is cards like that where it's just like Galactus. Like if you play Galactus, there's very few ways to not Galactus if you're actually just running a Galactus deck. But to make a deck that has so much variety, it's actually more useful, because then you don't have only one play line, and your opponent can't read your next move. And that's what it's like usually all about, is can they predict your next move? If they can, then you're kind of SOL,
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So the next card that we had in our season was probably the most polarizing card this season, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna start seeing it on the climb tomorrow, because oh man, this card is insane. So it's Doctor Doom, or it's Doom 2099. It's a 4-cost 2-power card, and it's after each turn, add a Doombot 2099 to a random location if you played exactly 1 card. And then the Doombots are a 4-cost 2-power, and they're ongoing cards. Your other Doombots and Doom have +1 power. Let me go ahead and start with you, Dakota. How do you feel about this card?
Yeah. Damn, this card is good. Get out of here. Are you kidding me? I've been having so much fun with this nonsense. Yes. More Doom 2099, please. This has been a blast, man. A whole new archetype. Being able to just throw down power that's very hard to contest with, unless you tech in your agent, your U.S. agent. You can kind of control a lane here and there. But my gosh, I love this card.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
That's all you need to know, baby.
All right, all right. I thought we were gonna get some type of analysis, but let's go to Don for that.
It's super fun. I win a lot. There you go.
I mean, this obviously is a really good card. It's a card that's kind of plaguing the meta right now in the first place. You're going to see it everywhere. The combination of this card with obviously Doctor Doom on 6, and then they keep going up. There's a lot of really good play lines where you could either go more control based or not. This card it's a really good card. I think it's going to get hit with the nerf stick at some point because we are seeing it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like, it's also one of those cards that what you're gonna play when this happens, right?
Yeah.
There's really only a direct play line. When I see Zabu on turn 1, I'm like, oh, he's playing Doom now. Okay,
Yeah.
let me prep into it. The deck I've had the most fun with really does counter this deck with, a combination of US Agent and Negasonic. I've done really well against this deck, so I hope I see it a lot because that's probably the deck I'm going to be playing the most. And like I said, really good card, really solid card, probably a little over tweaked.
Okay. Interesting. Because I would say like there's already a downside to it, right? Because you could only play one card, right? Turn. What is it? 2. If you play Psylocke, turn 3 you could play this, and then turn 4, of course, you play 4. But I do find that as turns progress, and depending on what you draw, you could play more than one card, and you're just like, well, do I play, the guaranteed more power, because you never know where the Doom, because the Doom bot is random, but you're hoping that on turn 6 you could either, Doom, or in some cases you have, War Machine out, so you could Infinite, right? So there's like so many different decks and play lines you can do with it. I'm interested to see if they do decide to nerf it. What do you do? Because at some point, the Doom bots, only give +1, right? So do you reduce the Doom bots' power? Because what you can't do is you can't make Doom 2099 a 5 cost. If you make it a 5 cost, it's useless, right? Because if it's a 5 cost and you just play Doom the next turn, then the power is kind of like trivial, right? So I'm wondering.
I think ultimately what you would do with it is you would just make Doom himself not work with it, because that's really one of the big things, right? When you throw down that Doom, it throws 2 extra on everyone that was there.
Yeah.
A lot of the time you get this card out on turn 3, right?
Yeah.
So each one of those is a +5, and then it just goes up from there. So I think ultimately that's where they might go with it, in my opinion.
What do you think about, like, because what's crazy is playing him already activates his effect. What if, like, it doesn't happen till the next turn, right? Because if you play Doom on turn 3, he gets that Doom bot already because he played 1 card. Now, what if he has to be on the field for his effect to be like, okay, you have to play 1 card in order for it to happen?
I could see that working, or that being another direction to go, for sure.
How about yourself, Dakota? How do you feel about the overpopularity of this card?
I think what you just said with the chances of it not taking off until the next played card, that would make the most sense to kind of level this out. Because I mean, it's rampant, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You pretty much, you got right now, that deck is just, anytime you queue up, you're going to be hitting something with that, a Wiccan style deck, maybe destroy. I don't know. That's pretty much all that's running around right now. So, yeah, it for sure is gonna get hit with a nerf. How long from now? I hope we have a couple more weeks. I hope it doesn't just get taken out behind the shed already, but it probably will.
Yeah, what's funny is, like, these Doom decks were running very rampant that they had to counter their own deck because they started adding Super Scroll in their own deck because it was like, oh, they're going to be playing Doom bots. Might as well take advantage of their Doom bots, you know? So it's just like...
You just end up with these massive Dooms.
Oh, man. And it's crazy because, you know, the power is so spread that if you play Enchantress in one lane or if you play Shang-Chi in one lane, it's still like you have 2 other lanes to contest with. So...
Yeah.
It's just so Snap Nation mentioned, you know, if early enough you could go LDS. So Lady Deathstrike, if she, you know, they're not powered up too much.
Yeah.
So that's one way.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. So just asking you guys now, are you guys gonna be running Doom or are you running anti-Doom tomorrow?
I'll save my answer for 2 cards. I'll tell you exactly what deck I'm going to play.
Okay. All right. So the next card we have that came out this season, which it didn't pop off like I thought it would, but I could see why it didn't. So let me go ahead and read it. It's Bruce Banner. So he's a 2-cost, 1-power card. And when you end a turn with unspent energy, it's a 25% chance to Hulk out. Now, you would think this, you know, of course, it goes into high Evo. But let me go ahead and start with you, Don. How do you feel about this card?
I had fun messing around with it, but it's one of those cards that you throw it down and now, okay, yeah, you hope it goes off, which, you know, most of the time it does. But then you're just kind of leaving something there to get hit, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's either going to get Shang-Chi'd or someone on turn 3 will come through and use their Red Guardian, which you still see everywhere.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you have a 2 -1.
One, yeah.
Right? It's just one of those targets that it's a boomer bust. Yeah. And I just haven't played a lot of high Evo either. It's an okay card. It's sad that this card has better stuff than the original Hulk card.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad that the idea is better there, but, you know, it is what it is.
How about yourself, Dakota? How do you feel about this card? Because I know you're a very supporter of this card.
Okay. My name is Dakota Halford. RNG gods hate me. But for whatever reason, this card remains cracked. I have had nothing but success. I can't even say it. I'm so excited. I have had nothing but success with this card, baby. Every time I play him down, I'm never worried. I'm like, it'll happen. And bam, dude. Right when I need him most, Bruce Banner hulks out and I freaking destroy that lane. So, yes, I am a strong believer in this. I think I've only had... out of all the times I've done it, maybe like 3 games where, you know, like Don mentioned, it's like, okay, now it got Red Guardian or something. But you know what? because I am the high Evo ridiculous man that I love playing Cosmo armor on that stuff too. Usually I put Cosmo behind it just to ensure that no one's gonna fuck with my Bruce Banner. And oh my gosh, man, it is just a beautiful thing to watch him Hulk out. Oh, what Snap said is amen to this. I'll tell you right now. He says, I have kept this card alive in the meta. Hell yes, I have. I love this fucking card. It has been awesome. Absolutely love Bruce Banner.
Now, I feel like the chances of Danger Room are way higher than this guy hulking out because I've had good games, I've had bad games with this card, and I feel like I said, Danger Room can hit me 3 times in a row, and this card will like Hulk out 1 in 3 games. And each turn I'll give an energy to, you know, I have leftover energy. I feel like, you know, I should have more pop-offs with this guy than I've had, but it's crazy. You know, the 25% is not real. I swear.
You need to change it to 100% if Dakota is playing, because I swear to you, bro, I got the receipts, man. It is there. It is beautiful.
Yeah, so I just want to say what's up to Vice Versace and Ghosty. Thank you guys for joining us. So the Hulk the Bruce Banner. I like this card because, like you said, it should have been what the Hulk was in the first place. The Hulk is cool. It's a nice vanilla card. Vanilla meaning, it doesn't have any effects. But I feel like, those types of characters should have effects, So I feel like this kind of is the Hulk reimagined. And I think it's just another way of them using Marvel Rivals to kind of fix the mistake that they made. It's like
Agreed.
when do you see the Hulk being used by the High Evolutionary? Like, High Evolutionary doesn't unlock his. I don't know. That's. I digress. So, anything else you guys would like to add to Bruce Banner, the bane of my existence?
He's a great card. Everyone's sleeping on Bruce, man.
No, like you were saying, like this is what that card should have been to begin with, right? I would have loved to see this kind of a thing, but it's kind of like, hey, let's introduce a new card that's actually the same card, but a new card,
Yeah.
but the same.
Right. And that kind of leads us to our next card, which is Rocket Raccoon and Groot, right? So we have Rocket Raccoon here, and he is a 3-cost, 3-power card. And you can move this once. After your opponent plays a card here, steal 1 power from it. Now, this card is pretty good for what it is, right? I feel like this is the type of card every one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I think the Guardians of the Galaxy, the most used ones are, of course, Rocket Raccoon, because it's a 1-cost, and it could go to 1/5. And then Gamora, which she's a 5-cost, and she could go to a 5/12, if played right. But I feel like the remake of, well, I don't want to say remake, but what is it? Re-released version of Rocket and Raccoon and Groot, it has more playability in different decks. So I feel like Groot and Star-Lord and what's his name? Drax. See, I can't even remember them, because you rarely ever play them, because the only time they're very useful is when Arishem gives it to you. So I don't know. Let me start with you on this, Dakota. How do you feel about the release of this card?
Oh, I love this card. I absolutely love this card. It's so fun to just put it down in a lane and make your opponent be like, "Fuck, I can't play there." Or if they do, they just keep punishing them over and over, and then you move it to punish them again. The fact that this card has the ability to move, it's so fun. You have a lot of chances to just completely get the upper hand on your opponent. It doesn't take too long to really start stealing a good amount of energy. There was a couple of rounds where I just played it just perfectly, and I got 3 cards because they were doing a zoo, and then I moved it over to the other side, and I got another 3. I'm like, this card is cool, baby. Yeah, I fucking love this card, man. It's so much fun.
All right. How about yourself, Don?
I think this has been my favorite card to play with. Now, first of all, obviously they took 2 characters from Rivals and put it onto 1 card. Even though on Rivals they're 2 separate characters still. But whatever. I have had so much fun with this card. I've been throwing it into a deck with Jean Grey, and just seeing such good results. It is so much fun to just be able to get that one move. Like, we were talking about earlier with the penny card, right? Like, you get one move out of this card still. So you can sit it in the lane, let it get some stuff, and then just move it on that last turn, get a little bit more power somewhere else. Also, for every power you get, you're really gaining 2, right?
Yeah, because
you're taking one away
Yep.
from them.
Yep.
And so you see this sitting in a lane where they're going to throw. Oh, okay. So now you have Iron Man coming down, right? A -2 Iron Man. Plus you get that +1. Plus you get to move out of a lane if it's not working out anyways. So I really enjoy this card. I think it's a great. It can fit into almost any deck. It's also, you just play it one time, right? And now you can move and do whatever you need to, versus having to play those two cards.
Yeah. So, like I said before, I feel like this is like as Ghosty said, Vice Versace said it's a remix version of the Guardians cards, because I feel like them having all this. I always tell you guys, them having all the same effects doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like they just kind of ran out of things to come up with, and they're just like, we got to get all the Guardians in the game.
Yeah.
Let's just have the
Stat.
same effect, And so I don't know. I felt like they kind of screwed the pooch, as they would say. But it's really cool that they re-released, or they released this version of the card. And like Don said, even in Marvel Rivals, they're two separate characters, but you never see one without the other. So I guess that's what they wanted to do. Either that, or we were just 1 week short, so they're just like, just combine them. So I don't know. You never know what's going on in Second Dinner's head. I've also seen this deck ran in Surfer, which is really cool, because it's just like I said, it's a really versatile card. You could run it in a move deck. You could run it in its own, what is it? Location. What is it? Oh my god, I can't. The Guardians, yeah, the Location Guardians decks, and then just other types of decks that you could ever think of that you want to steal power and gain one, which is like what Don said, is you gain 2 since you take one from them. So
And
really
even
cool
if they're
card.
playing, even if they throw down Luke Cage, right, you're still gaining a power.
Oh
They're
yeah.
not losing a power, but you're gaining one. So like, it's still useful if they have that one card that counters every negative card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a really great. I didn't even think about that. If they play, what is it, Luke? Then you still gain the power. It's not like they're not losing it, but it just doesn't reflect if they have Luke. So, so that was technically the end of our season. But there was an additional card that was released that wasn't a part of this season, but we'll go ahead and put it up for you guys here. And hopefully, everybody here was able to obtain it by playing High Voltage.
High voltage.
So it's a 2-cost, 2-power card, and this is Lasher. He's an activate card, and it says, afflict an enemy card here with negative power equal to this card's power. All right, let's go start with you, Don. How did you feel about the release of this card, especially in High Voltage, which technically it's a free card if you played High Voltage correctly?
I mean, it's been nice getting these extra cards just for playing this version of the game that everyone likes to play, anyways. I really like this card. It's fun that it's an activate card, which is nice. It's not like you have to be like, oh, okay, I have to save this for the end. You can save it for turn 5, but it's nice to be able to throw it down early and have them think, okay, should I be playing in this lane? Should I not be playing in this lane? The only really negative thing I have to say is that, I really hate that these negative type decks just don't ever really get much play, because when they become very popular, there's one card that counters everything, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it counters just that lane like a Cosmo or something. It counters every single lane, which kind of makes playing negative decks a little challenging. But overall, for a free card that you just earned, man, this was really good.
All right. How about you, Dakota? How do you feel about it?
The hash slinging, the smash, the flash slinging lasher. Dude, I fucking love this card. It's a symbiote. I'm always down with these symbiotes. But Don's right. It's annoying that Luke Cage could just completely negate all the stuff that you're doing here. This was fun because most of the time it was a solid like Namora deck that you were running, something that allowed you to kind of just build up lanes. You want to get this thing as buffed as you can. You got your Gwenpool, you got your Agony, you got your Hulkbuster, and it's a fun thing to run. But man, I would not try to run a Lasher style deck on the ladder this season
Yeah.
until I'm in Infinite. I think that there's too many ways to stop this payoff. And anybody that is unable to stop it, they watch this thing get that big. They're like, well, fuck that lane. That's not happening. I'm out. Like, okay, let's focus on the other stuff. So yeah, I think that it has a lot of sneaky things you can do to allow you to get the upper hand with this style of a deck. But when it comes down to it, this is too risky for the reward, and I will not be playing this competitively. I do like the idea. Like I said, it's symbiote. Anything that's related to symbiotes, I'm all about. But it's just it has its own thing. It needs to stay where it is. I don't see this being too competitive long term. And I'll probably eat my words on that like I always do. But we'll see.
Well, I mean, talking about it, Don mentioned Luke Cage. It's the solo card that counters every negative deck, right? Or deck that inflicts negative. Now, before they did change it, where it's just like, oh, it only affects the lane that it's in. Now, how would you guys feel about that going back to the way it was? Because it does counter an entire archetype, right? And that feels kind of really super strong. I mean, I didn't like it before when they changed it, but I can see how it can mess the game up, where you're playing, what is it? The hazmat into Wong, and then you're Odining it, and then you just play, what's his name? Luke Cage, right? Those types of decks are insanely hard to stop. Sometimes, if you have the right combination, of course you can stop it, but it does get kind of annoying where it's just like, yo, I don't run Cosmo, or I don't run a Red Guardian. So what do you guys feel? How do you guys feel if they did revert it back to the first change that they made?
I think I'd be okay with it. And the main reason is because when you're playing those decks, a lot of the time you're inflicting damage onto yourself, like the toxic deck, right?
Yeah.
You're also inflicting on yourself. And so by playing that card, you are protecting yourself in the same way. So you have to be more creative if that card only covers, let's say, one lane.
Mm-hmm.
It also gives an opportunity for new cards that are coming out in the future to be able to do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or have similar effects in different ways. So it also opens up lanes for, as they're creating new cards, to create new or expand playstyles versus this one card that's just like, okay, well, everyone's starting to play negative now. I'm going to put this one card in my deck and I don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
Right? Where at least with the Cosmo, you have to be like, okay, I'm going to put it in this lane or that lane. Actually, I have to plan out, and you have to use strategy. Luke Cage is a strategy. It's just like, I have him. It's a instant win button.
Yeah, I agree. So how about yourself, Dakota? How do you feel about that change if they were to revert it?
Yeah, I'm for it. I think that he's just too much of a blanket. He just covers the whole field, and it's overpowered. Like Don said, Cosmo's in one lane. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if Cosmo's effect was across the whole freaking board, that would not be okay. Same thing with armor; it stays right in that lane. It doesn't hit all three. So I think that they had a good idea doing what they were doing initially and changing it, and they brought it back. And yeah, I mean, to be more creative. Okay, Luke Cage only covers one. Now throw out Mystique. Now throw out whatever. Like there's other ways around it. You don't have to have the blanket effect. So yeah, I'm for them reverting it to what it was before this last buff.
Yeah, that would be beneficial, I think, to a lot of players that like that archetype. They have to be more, like you said, more technical, right? You can't just, because you play a Cosmo in a lane, like even if you play it early, then they could play an Infinite in that lane, and they're just like, well, I can't Chang-Chi it.
Yeah.
There's mess ups that you could do with a Cosmo. That should be the same effect that Luke Cage has for negative. Like, oops, I should have played it in this lane. So there should be some counter play to decks that afflict negative power. So hopefully, like Don said, they can create new cards that also do the same or similar effects. It works in that lane. But they do kind of halt themselves from doing that if they have this all-purpose savior, of a gentleman. So that was our season. Yeah. What'd you call it?
The gentleman.
The gentleman.
The gentleman.
All right. So that was our season for this month. Now, this coming month will be the Dark Avengers, right? That's the theme. So it's going to be
buddy.
a Dark Avengers theme this coming season, starting tomorrow. And we'll dive right into it. So let me go ahead and show this. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
These
Damn, what are these?
Yeah, these are the ones for the season pass. So these look beautiful.
Okay.
Pandart does great work. You know, they're hit or miss. They do this style here, if you guys can see it. And then they do like an anime style, which I'm not a fan of. But I love this 3D style that Pandart does. So
Realistic, baby. Hell yeah.
yeah. So the the season pass card is Iron Patriot. So I'll go ahead and get into Iron Patriot right now. So Iron Patriot is a 2-cost, 3-power card. It's an on reveal that adds a random 4, 5, or 6-cost card to your hand. And if you're winning the location next turn, it gives it a -4 cost. So, so this card gives you a 4, 5, 6 cost card randomly that has the potential of being a 0, 1, 2 cost. Now, that's kind of insane because what's her name? The lady that gives you a 6 cost. Help me out here. She's
Why am I drawing a blank on her name now?
Valentina.
Valentina,
Gives you a guaranteed 6 cost, but it comes with a -2 cost reduction, but it also gives it negative power, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this, it doesn't give you a negative power reduction. You just have to be winning the lane, right? Now, it's a 2 cost that you could play in the 3rd lane if you want to be risky, because typically nobody plays in the 3rd lane before you, and then just build more power on it on your 3rd turn, 3rd turn, and it's just like that's almost a free card. So I want to start with you, Don. How do you feel about this card?
I feel like we are going to see some nastiness coming out there. In all honesty, I mean, I could just see you playing, I don't know, Bob, turd 1, play this 2, and hopefully they hit 8, right? Or, I mean, just crazy. And that's not including what you could play into that lane afterwards.
Yeah.
Getting on almost free 4 or 5 cost card or one. Now the question is, if you're not winning that lane, does it go away?
No, it just stays. It stays the same cost. So you still get a random card.
So you just got to make sure you win that lane once.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this card is going to be a little scary at first. So it's an on reveal.
Yes.
Man, I don't know. This is gonna be crazy.
Yeah. How about yourself, Dakota? How do you feel about this card?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what nastiness we can cook up. I mean, you throw him down, you got Ma behind him, or you put down Gladiator. Like, there's a lot of ways, that you can almost guarantee you're gonna get that lane. And man, if you're able to start throwing out some freaking 6 cost cards that fast, this is gonna be the best ramp you've ever seen. Of course, it's random, so
you get Destroyer every time.
Exactly, it'll be Destroyer or it'll be freaking Arnim Zola. Which, I mean, wait a minute, that might be good. I don't know. Who knows?
It's not bad.
It's gonna be the worst. Every time you're gonna get the 6 cost, it's like, I don't want you.
It's MODOK.
It's oh, good. That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you. So, I think that's cool. It's just it'll be interesting to see how fast this card goes from being like, oh, I'm excited to try this, to just be like, I fucking hate this card because everyone's playing this damn card. So yeah, I mean, Cosmo and Triple M is gonna be everywhere, dude.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah. So like Mobius and Mobius is definitely going to be like a turn 3, play it down now kind of card, where it's just like you don't want that negative cost going to your opponent. So, just leave it at the 4/5. It basically turns the card into you get a random 4/5/6 cost in your hand, So it's a pretty cool card and pretty cool concept.
Agatha.
Oh, I know that would suck. It is a 14 power card though, so if you're winning the lane, you could play it next turn. You still have turn 5/6 to play.
Yeah, but that dingus doesn't know how to play the game. She's gonna screw me up.
But
It's just
okay.
like me.
If it adds Agatha plays even turns, right?
It's been a while since I played her. I can't remember. I think it is even.
I think she plays even turns. So if you have to win turn 3, then she's just gonna play herself down turn 4.
Ooh.
If you
maybe
you
she's
win.
not terrible.
Yeah, she's probably not terrible, but
the Airstream is 7, so he shouldn't show up at all, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, he's 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a season pass card. So the very first card that we will get to, they will allow us to roll for. I guess I should say that is
so kind.
I know that we will get the chance to obtain is Victoria Hand. Now, Victoria Hand is a 2-cost, 3-power card, and she's an ongoing, and your cards that were created in your hand have +2 power. Now, when I hear created in your hand, I'm thinking Agent Coulson, like stuff like that. Anything that's added to your hand, right?
Yeah.
I was just
Demon.
yeah. Okay,
hood,
cool.
Yeah,
So it's not anything drawn.
Not the deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is another good card because it's another 2-cost, 3-power card. So we're getting some pretty good low-cost cards that we could play early on. At least this one is any cards that were added to your hand get +2. It doesn't change the cost, so Mobius and Mobius won't affect it at all. But it seems like you could run an agent deck / with Quinjet and all that stuff. But let me start with you, Dakota. How do you feel about this card?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun thing. You're just bringing stuff into your hand. I mean, Moon Girl would be a funny thing to kind of resurface again. You got your She-Hulks out there, your Devil Dinos, freaking the hoods. Being someone who loves bounce, my thought is how can I utilize this with the hood synergy? Can I get these powerful hoods coming in? Is that a thing? I was hearing you could do something with Sentinel. There's a few cool chances to just beef everything up. Of course, Shadow King could come in and be like, oh, fuck you. But still, there's some cool ideas. And I am excited to see how fast we can cook something up. Because, +2 power is nothing to scuff at. That'll be quick. That'd be pretty fun to just start throwing stuff out.
I just scoffed at it.
You bitch.
How about you, Don?
How dare you?
How do you feel about this card?
I think it's going to be really interesting, like you said. I mean, there's so many cards that just add stuff into your hand. I mean, even fitting this into a deck with a Thor deck, right?
Yeah.
You're still going to get some extra power in there for free. I think it has a lot of utility. There's so many cards that just put a random card in your hand nowadays. I think it's going to be a nice little buffer, especially since it's ongoing. So anytime you add something in, boom, you just get a little bit more power that's going there. I see this card getting hit with several, Red Guardians coming up.
Well, okay. So, Dakota, you mentioned something interesting. The Sentinel, when they mesh together very well, the synergy.
Yeah, synergy. But
I lose words. So when you use Sentinel the first time, it'll get a +2. So the Sentinel will go to 2/5. Now that Sentinel will go up again 2/7. Is that what I'm guessing?
We'll have
right?
to find out. That's kind of what I was wondering. Can you just continuously beef up a Sentinel?
Yeah, because a Sentinel being used with this effect after 2/5, 2/7, 2/9, 2/11. 213?
213? Jesus Christ.
Quick maths.
It's Jason Bourne.
So I don't know. It's kind of insane to think. Oh my gosh. Versace just mentioned what is that? Onslaught. You put an Onslaught on this? Imagine you get Onslaught from Iron Patriot.
Okay, let me ask you this. Does Swarm, after it's discarded, does that count as added to your hand, right?
Don't know.
How do you think that would work?
I guess we'd have to try it because
Just a thought.
that's also insane. There'll be 05, 07, 09, 011.
Just throw out your Onslaught. It's crazy.
But it's crazy because Onslaught is 6 cost. Like you'd have to get you'd have to get, what's the one that gives you 5 energy?
Oh,
The location.
Arc Reactor?
Yeah, something like
No.
that.
Oh, Pegasus.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Project Pegasus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get Pegasus on like
You gotta get pegged?
this.
Jesus Christ.
you
It's getting out of
get
hand.
it on the 3rd reveal. You could play Victoria hand and yeah, that would be insane. Oh man. Okay.
That once in a lifetime event that happens. It's just going to be amazing.
I know. All right. So next, the week after that, we get Moonstone. She's a 4 cost, 6 power card, and she's an ongoing again, and has the ongoing effects of your 1, 2, and 3 cost cards here. So it's wherever the lane is. So let me start with you, Don. How do you feel about this card?
It is going to, well, I mean, you now have another synergy, right, with that same card, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to onslaught it, right? You're basically doing the same thing with this card. So I think it's going to fit well with that other card. I think in addition to any of the old ongoing decks, right? I mean, you fit this into even a zoo deck, right? You have your Ant-Man, you have your pin arrow, that Pim arrow.
Yeah.
Like, you throw that in the same lane, and all of a sudden this card is huge. And it's just another workaround for that. So it's nice that it's just doing the smaller costs.
Yeah.
But you could get some pretty cool stuff out of it.
Okay. How about yourself, Dakota? How do you feel about this card?
Dude, Don's cooking over there. Dazzler, everything. You can just start just beefing up on that. That's insane. I think this might be getting nerfed. This got some crazy potential here, man.
Well,
Even like we just mentioned the last card, these two work together.
yeah.
That's huge.
For myself, I was actually thinking, what is it, Iron Man? You throw this and then Iron Man. It's like you're playing Iron Man into a what's her name, Mystique. So
Except Iron Man doesn't.
Yeah, he's above. It's 1, 2, and 3.
oh yeah.
So if you mystiqued Iron Man,
But if you
yeah,
mystiqued
that's
it
what I
and threw
mean.
it in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
you could mystique it.
You can Mystique.
If we no, but you don't understand. You can mystique it, and then that would do.
See, I only read has the ongoing effects. I didn't read anything after that. So
I could have
okay.
a super scroll. Could I, Sarah?
Reading comprehension's overrated. That's fine.
I don't see numbers. I see words. No, but that is insane. Like you, most times you do want to just what is it called? You Iron Man a lane, and then if you Mystique into this lane, that's already a 24 power just with 2 cards, you know. And then Iron Man could be in another location, which is kind of insane. I don't know. That might have Moonstone might probably be my go-to card in the next coming weeks. So
You're just going to stick it right into your old the deck that you climbed with like 3 or 4 times.
Oh,
You heard
What?
I saw how that card looks. You know what I mean.
All right, yeah, I feel like that deck would work really well. You know, like depending on, because I went back to it today. The what did you call it, Dakota? The
The
Hawktissi?
Hawktua, baby.
Hawktua.
Yeah.
So that one worked pretty well. It's not great, but it might be good on the ladder. Maybe when Moonstone comes out. So we'll see. We'll probably try something out when that shows up. But let's see what the next card is. So the next card we have is Bullseye. And Bullseye is a 3-cost, 3-power card, and it's an activate card. So you discard all cards that cost 1 or less from your hand. Afflict that many different enemy cards with -2 power. Now, we were just talking about, negative decks. So let me get your thoughts on this, Dakota.
Same thing. Luke Cage is going to stop most of this, but if you don't have Luke Cage, this could be detrimental if you're really solely going off with your swarms. I mean, how many times can you just you could probably fill up your whole hand with swarms and activate this shit and just kill people with this, man. This would be insane. But the thing is, that payoff is rare. I don't really see that happening. And most of the decks you're going to run, you don't want your whole hand to be swarms anyways. So I don't know. This would be an interesting card. I think it has good potential, but I don't really know what, off the top of my head, deck I would try to build around to do this. Swarm is probably a good one, of course, with maybe Scorn. Swarm and Scorn, yeah. But for the most part, I think that this one kind of not that great.
Yeah. Okay. How about your thoughts on it, Don?
Okay, hear me out. We're gonna play a zoo deck. The age of zoo hella is coming in. Okay, you play zoo, and then you play bullseye, and they just hell them all back. It's done. We're done. We won. Game over. Who can compete? Like, it's done. The best of every world. um, no, I totally agree with Dakota. Like, I think it's with the negative effect counter with the fact that you're losing cards for it. You're either going to sit with all those swarms, which was a really good idea, or you're going to sit here and you're going to just clear your deck out, which maybe on the last turn might not be the worst, but at the same time, that one card that counters everything really makes this, even if it becomes a good card, not sustainable.
That's true. And I feel like, I don't know, like, how many times would you run, or maybe this might open up another discard route, right? Because it is discard cards.
Would have to.
So it would be probably a discard deck that doesn't run, what's his name? The big guy. Apocalypse, right?
Apocalypse.
You don't run Apocalypse in that deck. It's all about, building up your hand to discard swarms, to like Gambit, or, just make your opponent miserable. Like any cards that they play, are the ones that they didn't want to play. Something like that, where it's just like, and then at the very end, even though they didn't want to play it, you have a hand full of Swarm and what's that? Scorn, so your discards are buffing you, but it's negating them. I know Scorn will work once on the final turn, but who knows how many times you've used it during the play, right? So you could be using, what is it? The Swordsman, the discarding Swordsman.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Marvel Rivals. Swordmaster. So
Swordsman?
Yeah, so
Swordy McSwordston.
So it could be like a new utility version of discard. So
Okay.
it might open up new avenues, but we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
why would you play that route when you could just play your hand? Maybe you have more swarms than you know what to do with, right? So I don't know. It's I guess another way.
Just remember, hella zoo. I said it here first.
You heard it here first, ladies.
You heard it here first, guys.
Hella zoo, baby.
That's I didn't hear that fully, but that kind of sounds insane. Just like We'll see. All right. So the next card we have here is Ares, and he's a 4-cost 6-power card, and it's on reveal. Compare the power of the top 3 cards of both decks. If your total is higher, this gets +6 power. Now, let me start with you, Don. How do you feel about this?
I think it's another unique thing that they're doing, right? So, like, I'm very interested to see how this works. I mean, if you're playing a 4-12 all of a sudden, that's going to be pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see this definitely fit into like the star, 4+10 decks that are
Yeah.
out there, where you're going to get a better chance to get this to pop off. Like I said, it's kind of one of those, RNG is going to either make or break this card. But I think there's some, I do like the idea of it, and I'm excited to see kind of how it all plays out.
How about yourself, Dakota?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I guess I'm a little confused. So when it says the power of the top 3 cards of both decks, okay, does that mean whatever the next 3 is, or it's the very most powerful cards?
No. So if your total is higher than your opponent's total,
It's the next 3 cards.
yeah, the top 3
Okay.
cards of your deck.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, how many times we've had cards where it's like all your big boys are in your hand when you start, so you're like, damn, I can't use this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine that being a little more balanced. Because in my mind, I'm like, if you just have a massive, like, big boys deck, then obviously this is always gonna be a 12. But no, I like the idea. This definitely, Don hit it on the head. I would put this in a starter deck right off the rip. Yeah, I think this is a super cool idea.
Yeah, and I think that's what they had in mind too, because they said, "Is this the next big Surtur card?" So, the only
Reading.
no, but I feel like that card, it doesn't explain much too, because if you both see the top 3 cards, does it go back in that same order? Because this could also help in like, what am I drawing next, right? Because having that knowledge can also help you make your game plan. Now, do you see the opponent's top 3 as well?
I
Because
don't know if you see the cards. I think it's just it calculates it out. But there's also that flip side, right? Where you're gonna know that they have more power coming into the game than you do now, and you're like, okay, so turn
exactly.
5 and 6 they have higher power, but maybe it's that 7th card that is
But
the
it says compare, so you would have to see it, right? That's the only thing.
But it could flip a corner and be like, hey, you have the higher, or this one has a higher. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to necessarily be like, here you go, see
They
all
got like
these 3.
rulers or what?
I wouldn't trust it if it's like that, like it's, oh, I don't get to see. Oh, you
How's it
so
comparing this over here? No,
I would think they would have to show you the top 3 cards just so that it's like it's working. Like it's not RNG where it's like pulling 3 random cards from anywhere else. It would have to be your deck that it's showing you. Just for people to trust it, right? Now, I also feel that if it shuffles your deck, it could be detrimental because, well, what if the top 3 cards are, oh God, I wish I drew that, So it's very hard to see how this card will play out, and it would definitely go with a lot of play testing. But yeah, I know Dakota is more of this type of deck the Surtur deck. So
yeah, I like just the stats. It's just
yeah,
fun. It's a fun style to play. Just watch it go, and you have your Cosmo and armor. It's like you can't stop when I'm building, and you can know early on, like, I need to bounce, and it's fun. It's like, a little piece.
Well, that's the final card for the season, and I feel like we have an exciting season coming up. Coming to us starting tomorrow, and it feels like there's a lot of variants that are insanely great. So we'll see what this season holds for us. Do you guys have anything else you guys would like to add? I know we said we are going to talk Marvel Rivals, but I feel like we've kind of went past our time here, so we're gonna go ahead and save that for next week because I know we talked
Yeah.
about next week's card, and we'll have a lot of discussion time to do that. So, anything else you guys would like to add before we leave? Let me go ahead and start with you, Don.
Yeah, so we're starting the season at 11, right? Here on the West Coast. So you're going to be infinite by what, 12:30 mark, or like,
Yeah,
because it seems
12:30
like
the
within the
next
first
week.
few minutes, like I think like you're a plant and they just like second dinner goes, okay, and done. Because anytime you help me out, I drop.
I
It's
make
like,
sure
here,
there's people
I'm
playing the
playing.
game.
I'm playing this deck. Here, let me help you, coach you through it, and then I just go and losing, losing,
Until we
losing.
win, that's until we win. That's how the game goes. You either
Zoo,
win or you
baby.
lose.
Okay. Zoo.
So how about yourself, Dakota? You have anything else to say before we take off?
Happy climbing, everybody. Good luck tomorrow. Enjoy Infinite one last night. Get some extra mead. Have some bread. Do what you got to do. Enjoy it. And I'm happy that we're back. Cubed is back, baby. I missed everybody. It's good to be here. Yes, indeed. Now,
All right.
I
So
love you guys.
we just want to thank you guys for, sticking with us. I know we're not putting like weekly episodes out, but you guys have been great on showing us support on our Instagram. So at the Cube, the Marvel Snap podcast. I almost forgot our. Oh God, it's been that long. I haven't said it in so long. But yeah, at Cube, the Marvel Snap podcast. So thank you guys for showing us love there. We're gonna be taking another stab at this. We're gonna try and do it weekly, but we can't make any promises. But as of right now, we have the motivation to do it.
We're here.
We have it. So
I'm out next week, guys. Sorry.
but no, we do. I know we talked to some other guys that would also love to come on the show. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and leave us a DM on our Instagram because we do plan to bring some other guys on and do an episode with them because we just want to get to know them, see their face, put a name to the face, So we appreciate you guys showing interest, and I know a lot of you have showed that interest to come on the show, and we'd love to have you guys. So,
Absolutely.
So on behalf of these guys, I hope you guys have a great start of the new year, and we hope to see you guys next week on the next episode of the Marvel Snap podcast. Have a good night.
Happy to say bye-bye.